I've had the worst luck the last few days. I had that kind of realization a few days ago, and mentally and like emotionally I've been doing a lot better since then, but unfortunately physically I have been through a whirlwind. The day that I had kind of that breakthrough with myself, I also started my period, and this is the worst period I've had. You know, that was like 3 days ago, and every day since, except for today, I have had the most like intense, horrible period cramping, and I've just had to like lay down for hours at a time from just how brutal the pain has been from this. And then I've had to like take naps afterwards from how exhausting it was to be in that much pain. And then today is generally the first day when all of the symptoms start to go away and I start to feel back to normal, and all of that was good and going according to plan. And then I tried to put some product in my hair with my head flipped over, and in doing so, with how heavy my hair is when it's wet, because it was wet when I was doing that, I threw out my back trying to do that. And so now for the last like couple hours I've had to hold my back in this exact position, otherwise I'm in intense pain, which means that now I can't do any exercise. I can barely just walk around the house. All of my plans for today pretty much are just postponed until further notice because I cannot move my back. And it's just like I've finally felt better and more capable than I have, you know, mentally, and now I just keep on not being able to, you know, do anything with this new energy and this new inner peace because I'm just in so much pain every single day that I just physically cannot do anything. So, and on top of that, there's been a lot of bad news coming in with the world and with my family situation, and so it's like, you know, the universe was like, oh, here, we're gonna give you this realization. Now prepare to take on all of this baggage of like terrible things happening in the world, and then also you're gonna be in so much physical pain that you can't do anything. And let's just push it to the limits. Before I've even gotten a couple of days to enjoy the feeling, it's like, let's just push it to the limits the second you start feeling better. So apparently that's what we're doing. We're pushing it to limits. We're taking on all of the negativity at once and seeing how I can push through it. So anyway, that's how it's been going here. Hopefully this doesn't last longer than like today. I really want to do so many things now, but there's hardly anything I can do when my back is thrown out. So I've had a really bad string of luck lately, yet again. It's funny because I had that kind of realization that I was talking about, and it's like I'd already had kind of a bad string of luck before that point and had to deal with some stuff, but the second that I had that realization, every single day has been a huge challenge. It's been about a week now, and every single day there's been a huge challenge. So it's like the universe was like, all right, you had the realization you need, and now you need to, you know, work on figuring that out. So let's just make every single day the biggest challenge you've had in a while. I could not move my back that entire day. I had to hold my back perfectly still. I couldn't even like do most of the basic things like, you know, cleaning and cooking that I normally do because of how bad my back was hurting. And when you throw out your back or like pull a muscle, you can't just push through that pain, because if you keep doing stuff while you're in pain, you're just going to make the muscle even worse. So I couldn't even say, oh, screw it, I'll just push through the pain and do stuff anyway, because that only makes the problem even worse. And so I had 2 days where I just couldn't really do much. I couldn't do anything the first day. The second day I could do some basic things like cooking and cleaning, but there was no way I was going to be able to do any stretching or exercise. And so then the day after that, it's the most ridiculous, ludicrous thing. I cut my palm right here. It was a really shallow cut, but I cut it on spaghetti sauce. And I'm not talking about like, you know, the lid of the can cutting me or anything like that. I'm saying literally the sauce. I cut my hand on the sauce because I had opened this can of spaghetti sauce before, and so I didn't wipe the rim off before I closed the lid, and so there was like that, you know, crusty bit on the outside, and I was turning the lid and my hand cut on the spaghetti sauce. It hit a nerve, and so I couldn't really move my hand without a lot of pain, and I couldn't like push on that at all, and so I basically just couldn't use my right hand without reopening the wound. And then the second day after that, which was yesterday, I thought, okay, my hand's gonna be healed enough to do stuff. I'll finally get back on top of everything. But I didn't sleep well that night, and so the whole day I was just like constantly having to lay down, and like I couldn't fall asleep because I had had coffee that morning, but I desperately felt that I needed sleep, and so I was just like in this dreamlike state all day of like just being half asleep and then trying to get some stuff done and then falling half asleep again. I didn't get hardly anything done, and I'm like, okay, that's a big fluke. Tomorrow I'll get to bed early tonight, I'll do everything I can to sleep well, and tomorrow will be my day. And so I did that. I did everything I could to sleep well. I did sleep well. I feel, you know, energized and refreshed. And now one of my leg muscles is pulled. I think it was last night that I pulled it, just doing basic stuff. And I felt that it was a little bit like achy and sore last night, but I thought it was just from like being up and around and doing a lot of stuff yesterday. I thought I was just, you know, it was sore because I had been doing and walking a lot. Turns out that wasn't the case. I actually pulled something, and today it's so much worse. I've been limping all day. I can't do like anything, like I can't do stretching, any sort of exercise, like I can't do any of it that involves my leg because it's just making the injury even worse. So now I have another day where I can't do most of the stuff I want to do, and I'm just in physical pain all day, and it's like, it's been over a week now that I've had this, you know, string of days where I just spend all day either injured or in extreme pain, or most of the time both of those things being true, and it's like, I've been reactive. All I've been doing is reacting. I have been wanting to be proactive where I get a lot of really healthy food made so I don't have to fall back on unhealthy foods when I'm just starving and I don't have enough time. I wanted to start doing exercises so that I was, you know, building up my immunity and my strength so that I wouldn't have to have, you know, accidents happen, or I wouldn't have to have all of these things that come when you're not getting good exercise. Like, I wanted to do all of these things to be proactive, and instead every single day I've had to spend the majority of my time being reactive to, you know, a pain or an injury that I couldn't help. And so it's just been honestly really discouraging because I've been trying so hard to turn my life around, and every day it's been such a struggle just to get the basic stuff done. I've been in so much pain every single day, and I'm just getting exhausted from trying and just being in pain all the time. I'm just in pain all the time now. But I've been thinking on it a bit today because I can't do anything else because can't walk. And I think this does actually tie in to the whole not being in tune with myself and the self-hatred thing. I have this thing where I try to get myself to do something as fast and efficiently as possible regardless of what it does to my mental or physical health. And so I think with me doing things in that way, I think I'm just getting injured more because this happens every single time I try to get back into, you know, being productive and being proactive and, you know, getting exercise and doing things right. This happens every single time, and I think it's because when I'm doing those things, I'm rushing myself a little bit, I'm doing a lot more things than I normally do, and so I'm just putting myself at greater risk of becoming injured. And for the longest time I thought it was just coincidence, but it's been so consistent, I don't think I can say it's a coincidence anymore, and it actually seems to tie in with that well. So my kind of game plan for this is that I need to be really slow and intentional with all of my movements, and I need to really listen to all of the sensations in my body when I'm doing these movements, because if I had to guess, I probably have some kinds of like pain and discomfort from the movements I'm doing before they actually injure me. But because I'm so used to just like completely tuning out and ignoring all of my pain all the time, I don't think I even notice when I'm feeling that pain and discomfort anymore because I'm so used to just tuning out all of my pain and discomfort. And so I think if I can work on not tuning that out and actually listening to all of the pain and discomfort and signals my body's sending me, I might be able to tell which movements or what things are making me more prone to injury and avoid them. And then also, if I can do this for long enough that I can actually, get some stretching and some exercising in every day without, being injured every day instead, I might be able to build up, the strength and the flexibility to be able to maybe move in those ways more often without getting injured because I'm already flexible, I'm already strong, and I've already moved my body enough to know what feels good and what doesn't, and what feels safe and what doesn't. And then I might be able to, move quickly and freely without thinking about it again, without being injured, versus now where I might have to take a period of time where I'm just really slow and intentional and observant of my movements. Yeah, that's the situation right now. So, and there's been, some more news, with my family that are even scarier than they were before, and yeah, I guess I'm just grateful that I was able to have this realization when I did, because it's been really helpful to have myself as kind of a friend and a form of support through all of this, instead of, a source of anger and hate and self-blame, I guess. It's been really nice to have that switched around. But even with that being the case, it's still been hard to get through all of this lately. And I just really hope that with all of the work that I'm putting into this to try to, make myself better, that I can come through on the other end of this and start to have some form of normalcy and just have more days where I feel complete and functional and just capable and calm as a human being, than days where I just feel like I'm a huge mess. And right now, most of my days I just feel like I'm a huge mess, but hopefully these things that I'm trying to do will help me get to a point where that isn't the case anymore. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Another funny little thing to add here is that now, since I've hurt my leg today, my attention has gone a lot more on focusing on making sure my movement isn't injuring my leg, whereas normally a lot of my attention will go to making sure that my hair isn't being, caught in anything. Since I've been a little bit preoccupied, I've realized that 2 different times today I've sat on my hair and yanked my head back from it, and then when I was going into my car this morning, I shut my hair in the car door. Yeah, my hair has been getting caught in everything, and now I've gotten a little bit of a headache because it keeps getting yanked because I'm not paying attention to it. So I think I might need to put it in braids or something. Natten går tunga fjät runt gård stuva kring jord som fallet skuggorna ruva. So I think I mentioned last time I was talking how I hurt my leg. It's been in a decent amount of pain for a few days now. I was kind of thinking that it would go away after a couple of days, but I think we're on day 4 now, and it still hurts a lot. And because of that, I can't really move it or do very much because I'm just risking hurting it more than it already is. And it's been kind of hard to be so sedentary lately. And this one's been especially hard because normally I can heal within a couple of days and I can get back to normal, but first of all, this is the 3rd injury in a row that I've had. Second of all, this injury has already taken 4 days and it still doesn't feel really any better, and on top of that, I can't just push through the pain of the injury and go about my day, because pushing through the pain of this injury will only make it worse and only make it take longer. So I have to stop. I have to rest. I have to slow down. And I don't like being sedentary. Exercise and movement is a really important thing for my mental health, and now that I can't even move enough to, do basic household things anymore, it's really making me face this whole thing head on, because I'm really faced with it every second of the day of what I'm doing to myself. And I can't just push through the pain or ignore it this time. I have to just sit still and face it. I know this doesn't seem like a big deal. I just, pulled a muscle in my leg. I have to let it rest for a couple weeks, but just facing this thing that I've been doing to myself for so long. And I haven't even realized I've been doing it, and now I have to sit all day and just face it. And I don't know. It's difficult on a lot of different levels, but maybe this is just the kind of slap in the face that I needed about all of it, to really drive it in what I'm doing so that I don't forget and so that I don't continue to do it after the injuries have healed. Maybe I'll remember, and maybe I'll stop doing this to myself. I think I'm gonna go to the lake, and the lake might even be like a little bit frozen over by this point because it's been really cold lately, but today's getting up to 40 degrees, and I know that for pulled muscles, icing it can help, and I know that I want to get out and do something, so I'm thinking maybe if I go do that, it'll be good for the muscle and be good for my mental health, so I'm gonna go try to do that.
I think it's safe to say I won't be swimming.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations. Oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong. I was so mistaken. 'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. I was never the one to give up the ghost. No, I was so stuck. I kept on playing my part, wanted to give up 'cause nothing was changing. But with you it's so clear, and now that you're here I see colors in every spectrum. 'Cause I finally learned my lesson. 'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.
So obviously, unfortunately, I didn't get to go swimming, so I just took an icy shower when we got home, and that felt pretty good. And just being out there, in the cold, made my leg feel a bit better and made me feel a bit better. It was also fun to walk on that lake, because in Utah, our lakes didn't really freeze over, so the experience of walking over a lake that I remember swimming in all the time over the summer was just, first of all, a new experience for me, and second of all, it just felt really cool. It's like a new perspective on it almost. And I've never walked on a frozen lake before, so yeah, that was actually really fun, and maybe sometime next winter I'll be able to afford an ice saw, and then I can get in even when it's frozen. 3 weeks ago, I got in a little above my knees, and I'm glad I took that opportunity to get at least somewhat in the water, because that was probably the last time that it wasn't fully frozen. I made myself a little ice pack. I'm gonna wrap it up and put it on my leg and just chill out, elevate my leg, do all the things they tell you to do, so I can see if I can get it to heal faster. so much pain right now. It's been like a week and a half, I think, since I hurt my leg, and it still hurt. There's been super minimal signs of progress with that. I don't even know if it's really gotten better at all. And on top of that, I've been just feeling really like tired and out of it. I've been sleeping like 10 hours a day, taking naps and stuff, which I don't normally sleep that much, and I've just been feeling super out of it. And on top of all of that, I've just been in super intense intestinal pain, I think is what it would be called, just inside of my body. Just so much pain I've been having today, on top of my leg being in severe pain, and I don't even have any idea what's causing that. And so it's been over 2 weeks now since I've been in severe pain every single day. And I am just so tired of just being in pain all day, every day. The house is a mess. Everything is just fallen to pieces, and I don't feel any better. I can't do hardly anything without hurting my leg more. I can like walk in a straight line, just very slowly and carefully walk forward. But anytime I need to like turn around or, you know, bend down, it's just so much pain. It makes it so much worse. Yeah, basically just checking in, saying I haven't gotten much of anything done because I'm just in so much pain. I don't know when this is gonna end. That's that. So, the time has finally come for me to talk about the whole realization, epiphany, whatever you'd like to call it, that I had at the end of my last video. So, to preface this, I was going through a lot mentally over the course of the last video because of some stuff that was happening back home, and because of some seasonal depression, and because of some financial struggles and the stress that comes with them. I was going through a lot more than I have in a while, and it ended up pushing me to this breaking point. And the thing is, I had suspected that there was something kind of wrong with me internally for years now, I think. And I've just not really been sure what it was or how to find out what it was, but I felt like there's something not quite right in me. Anyway, that's the little bit of backstory. Because I had been having such a hard time mentally and emotionally, I was trying to do things to make myself feel better. Nothing was really doing much. And then one day I turned on this yoga video that was just like really slow, beginner friendly, easy yoga, and it ended up having more to it than just the yoga. During the practice, the lady, the yoga instructor, kept telling me, and of course the audience, to repeat phrases, and kept just saying certain things during the practice about, I guess, telling yourself that you're safe here, saying to yourself that you are listening and you hear yourself and you see yourself, and just things like that, which I was not expecting at all. But I think that actually worked out for the best, that I didn't know that was happening, because I wasn't trying to prep my brain in the way I usually do to have these like meditation or just emotional or thought experiences. I was just going into it blind, just trying to get some stretching in. I didn't really think much of it. I just followed the video, and in doing so, I reopened this part of myself that I had closed up years ago and hadn't noticed since I had closed it. And I just started crying and getting really emotional and having this flood of thoughts and emotions and memories. Yeah, I think I closed down a part of myself. I think this first started sometime in high school, or right after high school maybe. I had a really hard time in my teenage years, especially my later teenage years, just with a lot of mental health stuff. I have been diagnosed with a lot of different mental illness. I don't know if I necessarily want to get into all of those right now, but It's a lot of them. And because of just how hard it was to exist as I was coming in to all of those illnesses more and more, I had a lot of problems. I had to go to psychiatric facilities a lot, like inpatient. I had a lot of bad coping mechanisms with it. I have lots of scars from those bad coping mechanisms, mental and physical. And I was just in so much intense emotional pain all the time, which ended up making me actually physically in pain from how much emotional pain I was in. It caused physical pain. I actually had to drop out for a few months of school a couple of different times in high school. By the time I got to senior year, I was getting to the point where I knew if I kept going to school and expecting myself to function normally, I was going to go to the hospital even sooner. I knew the feeling of when I was going to get pushed to the point, and I knew that was coming very soon, and I did not want to go back to the hospital again. So I just dropped out early, and I think it was probably for a year and a half to 2 years where I just hardly ever left the house. I hardly ever left my room. There was one point where my germophobia was so bad that I couldn't even leave my room without basically a makeshift hazmat suit. Like, I would stay up until 3 a.m. just deep cleaning everything in my room, and a bunch of different kinds of things that weren't germophobia, other phobias, other mental illness things. I was going into psychosis, I was going into manias, all different kinds, euphoric manias, dysphoric manias, all kinds. It was such a mess, and it got to the point where after I'd been like 2 years just hardly ever leaving the house or leaving my room, where I said, I cannot live like this anymore. This isn't living. I'm miserable all the time. I can't go anywhere or do anything, and I don't want to live like this. I want to live a real life. I want it to be as normal as I can get it to be. I don't want to be like this. And so I put up some mental structures in my brain. There are two main things that have to do with this situation, at least, that I put into place. There was a lot of mental work that I did, but these are the two main things that have to do with this. And although they did help me in the ways that I really needed at the time, they weren't quite the best things to do. But one thing I did was I basically made myself immune to my pain. Whether it was mental or physical pain, basically just taught myself to not feel it. Like, I would feel it initially, but as soon as I felt the pain, emotional or physical, I would just immediately shift my focus and not think about it anymore, to the point where I just didn't feel pain as much. And I didn't feel emotional pain as much, and if I would feel like all of those emotions stirring up and the fear and the anxiety before I would do things, I would just shut them down immediately, and I would just throw myself into whatever it is I was doing. And that was able to get me to do a lot of things that I needed to do, but at this point in time, it's actually been a bit detrimental because I've developed a lot of other positive coping mechanisms with things where I don't need to throw myself in all the time. And I've grown so used to throwing myself in that now when I feel fear about something, like a more intense fear that would stop me from doing it, a lot of the times that is actually a rational fear that I should be listening to, that's going to protect me, instead of how it was before, where doing anything at all outside of my room was absolutely terrifying. So long story short, I don't need that kind of like motivation. I don't need to throw myself into those things despite my fear. I can actually listen to some of my internal feelings about things without them overpowering me anymore. So that's the one thing that I did. And the other thing I did that, ties in a lot with that is I just started ignoring what I felt that I wanted or needed in a way, because my wants and my needs, or what I thought my wants and needs were, changed so drastically just all the time because of all of the mental illness and the manias and all of those things. It was just so hard for me to know what that I was feeling was true and what wasn't, and what was beneficial to me and what wasn't. And so I think I kind of developed this thing where I would ignore most of those things most of the time. If something was very persistent and came up, multiple times over the span of a long while, then my subconscious would let my conscious mind know, hey, this is one we should maybe pay attention to. My conscious mind would take that want or need or wish and would examine it very logically, like how a computer would or something, and say, is this something that makes sense logically for me to want or need? Is it something that I can actually have or accomplish? And if it checked all those boxes, then I would say, okay, this is something that I can consciously think, this is what I want, and I'm going to move towards it. But at this point, a lot of those different thoughts and ideas and emotions and all of those things have calmed down a lot from what they were at the time with, other things that I've done to take care of myself. By blocking out and just ignoring all of the stuff that I think and feel, I've been detaching myself from like my core feelings and wants and emotions. I've been like taking my emotional mind and shunning it and caging it and just having my logical mind just in focus and in control all the time. And I've been neglecting all of my emotional needs and all of my desires and all of the things that bother me and the things that bring me a little bit of joy. I've been ignoring all of those and just logically thinking of everything because I had to do that at the time. And so I guess steering back to the whole yoga experience that I had, I ended up talking to that more personable, emotional side of myself with my logical side that was always taking control. My logical side talked to my emotional side without even realizing that that's what I was doing, just because I was following the video. And for the first time, my logical mind actually heard what my emotional mind was saying, not through the filter of my subconscious, not through any of those filters, just actually hearing what I was feeling and wanting and needing for the first time in years. And yeah, that's kind of the epiphany and the realization that I had. And so since then, I've been trying to do a lot more meditation. I've done a lot of other yoga videos from that creator on YouTube. I'll link her down below. Yeah, and the thing is, it's not like I've never done like therapy or meditation that has, told me to do those things before. And honestly, I think it was because it caught me off guard. Because when I was expecting something or trying to get something to happen, my logical mind was very much in control and doing its normal, like, controlling, suppressing type of thing that it does. And because I wasn't expecting it this time, I was able to be caught off guard and actually have that conversation within myself. So yeah, that was really the thing that made it different for me, different from all the therapy I've had, different from all the meditation I've done. Yeah, I've been just doing her videos more. I've been doing more internal checkups and just trying to keep that connection with myself. I've been listening to myself a lot more. There's been a lot of other things that I just do in my daily life that I don't actually enjoy or that cause me pain. And I've just been ignoring those pain signals, those discomfort, that, voice saying, I don't want this, this isn't what I like. And I've been actually listening to that and changing a lot of things. And, it's still been hard. I injured myself like 2 times in a row. I was injured really bad to the point where I couldn't do daily activities for like 3 weeks. I was injured. All of that had to do with this as well because of the whole ignoring my pain thing. And even though now I know what I've been doing and I know the problem, it's still so inherent to me to ignore my internal self and to ignore my pain. And so I'm still on a journey of opening that part of myself and readjusting my life to accommodate for them. And I'm probably going to make a lot more progress a lot more quickly now because my leg is healed, so I can actually do a lot of things that can help me along that, like doing stretching and exercising and yoga. All of that stuff does really help me to be mindful and be present in the moment, which then makes it easier to feel and think all of those things. I'm just excited to see where else it takes me. So